Have you ever felt like you've changed, but the people around you still treat you like the person you used to be? Maybe you've worked on yourself, you've become more confident, you've set healthier boundaries, you've changed the way you think. But every time you go back home, meet old friends, or even walk into work, it's like everyone is still reading an old version of your story. And after a while, you start wondering, am I really different, or do people just refuse to see it? Welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm Shivam, and this is where we have honest conversations about growth, mindset, and becoming the person you're meant to be. Not just in your own eyes, but in the world around you. Joining me today is Dawn Stebbing, someone who's helped countless people navigate this sometimes uncomfortable journey of personal transformation and the relationships that come with it. Hi, Dawn, how are you?
Hello. I'm well, thank you.
Perfect.
Mm.
So, Dawn, I think a lot of us believe that if we grow as people, everyone around us will naturally notice. But real life doesn't always work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And why do you think we expect others to immediately see the changes we have made?
I just think excuse me.
Yeah,
I
no
just
problem.
think we get very comfortable. And since, I wanna go back to the pandemic, I think when the pandemic happened, we got very, very, very comfortable, very casual. And it's been a challenge for people to come back to reality again and understand that how we show up is how we're perceived. And I think they tend to think people should accept me for the way I am. And I do wanna say, yes, that is part of it. However, first impressions speak louder than words. And that first impression will say a lot about you before you even say a word. So how are we gonna know you if you're going to show up. I have a friend that, he's a gentleman, he goes to networking events, and he always dresses in a really nice three-piece suit and everything, and someone asked him one day, he "Why do you always wear your three-piece suit? This is, more of a relaxed networking group." He says, "If I showed up in my grass cutting pants, would you trust me?"
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, it was no.
Right. Something to reflect upon for sure. When
Yes.
people realize that those closest to them are still treating them like their old selves, there are people who would feel that he, um, he's still treating me like that.
Mhm.
What's that emotion you see most often? Is it frustration, sadness, or maybe even self-doubt? What is it?
In the person that feels that way or the
Right.
person that experiences that?
Actually, in both of them, actually,
Okay.
the person that feels that way.
The per the person that actually feels that way is probably a lot of self-doubt in themselves, whether they feel confident in where they're going and what they're doing. It's, sometimes it's permission of whether what they're doing is valued enough, and I think a lot is our mindset. It really comes from our mindset and where we are moving towards and who we are moving into. I work with a lot I've worked with men and women, but mostly women, and I see this a lot when women will up level their expertise. They're very credible and they're very capable of their experiences. However, they haven't left this piece to step into the next piece. And I think it's
Yeah.
because they're comfortable or they don't know. It's the unknown that they don't know that they're doing it.
Hmm.
So until somebody can bring that to awareness for them, they will not they will not know. And that's what my job is, to make them aware of why they're still stuck. Why aren't they being perceived at this next level that they're
Right.
stepping into?
I think that's something so many people quietly experience. They're unable to reflect upon it, and they're just not self-aware, maybe. And why is change so difficult for the people around us to recognize? Is it because they're holding on to an old image of us? Or is it sometimes because we're unintentionally sending mixed signals ourselves?
I believe there I believe it is the mixed signals, and the old part of themselves is so, I hate using this word over and over again, but comfortable. We're comfortable in the way we are. Well, change is hard. If you want to be perceived at a new level, or you want to make more money, or if you need more clients, whatever that might be, is you have to step into a new version of you. Now, that doesn't mean changing who you are. That's stepping into the next version of who you want to become. You're still you. You don't get rid of your values. You just need to step forward and out of comfortableness into uncomfortable paths to get to where you want to go. And it is scary. I mean, I can vouch for that, because when you are stepping into new territories, it's just saying yes and doing what you can to step into that. It's going to be a little scary. You're gonna feel like you're leaving something behind, but you're not. You're just growing, and growth is tough. It's not easy,
Right.
and if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But the only way you're going to get there is to take that first step.
You're absolutely right. Agreed. Yes. But sometimes, a lot of people, they get afraid about it. While they're moving forward, they often get pulled back because they remember how it was, while they were the past. They find it the reality when, of course, it was the past. So they tend to go back and feel that, oh, I can always go back to being my older self. So, what do you tell these people that in order to move forward, what is that way around? Because, of course, you need to take a step ahead, but people are afraid.
They're afraid. I sometimes it's the company they keep, and sometimes it's the people they're hanging around with that wanna keep them there, and then, "If I grow, will they still be there?" I've grown a lot in my lifetime. I have changed a lot in my lifetime, so my growth is really expanded. I have left people behind, but that doesn't mean they're not my friends anymore.
Correct.
They just aren't there. I'm in a new chapter of my life, and you're stepping into a new chapter of your life, and when you do that, people are going to fall off, and that's okay. It's not that you don't like them and you don't wanna hang out with them, but they might not be where you wanna grow, and if they're not willing to grow with you, they're not gonna set that pace for you. So there are gonna be other people there waiting for you and waiting to help you and guide you and bring you to that next level. And sometimes just letting that go is is one of the hardest things, but once you do, you'll just go, "Oh my god, why didn't I do this a long time ago?"
Right.
It's like quitting a job and starting a new one. It's the same thing. You look at it and you go, "Why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Exactly.
What was I so afraid of?"
Right. We often think about it, while especially we're in that moment, we've lived that moment. Now that in the present we're living that moment, we often think, why didn't I do this back then? I should have done it long back. You
Right.
know. So that's when you're actually realizing, and now you're not in that moment. Like you said, there are things that you need to leave behind. So sacrifices are definitely necessary in order to move ahead in life.
That's right.
Very well said, ma'am. Where do you see this disconnect showing up most often? Is it within families, old friendships, the workplace? And what are those everyday moments where people suddenly feel like they've probably taken a few steps backwards?
I do think it is a lot of everything you just said, family, friends, colleagues. One of the toughest things that I think that I have seen, is when you're ready, you'll know. When you're ready to move forward and to grow, you'll know. But the one thing you have to understand is that something you really wanna do? But what I also say is your identity speaks about who you are, and where you're moving into. And if you can get very clear on who you are at your core and who you want to be moving forward, these people are either going to still be there and support you, or they're going to let you go too. So it's a twofold. It's a twofold. In other words, you're gonna leave some of them behind, and then some of them are just gonna say, "Okay," they're gonna support you, and they're gonna let you go and say, "I'm so happy for you. I wanna see you write that book. I wanna see you succeed in the next level of your business. I want to support you." And the people that are there to support you are gonna be your cheerleaders, and
Really like
you
that.
have that. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So you were saying?
I said they're gonna be your cheerleaders,
Yeah,
and that's what you need, is cheerleaders. You don't need naysayers. Naysayers are the ones that are never gonna grow. Those are gonna be the ones that are gonna be comfortable for the rest of their life. So, to get uncomfortable, to make the money you wanna make, to, help as many people as you wanna help and serve, you've got to step out of your comfort zone and step into the next level.
yeah. Like I was saying, really like that because it shifts the focus instead of trying to convince everyone else that we have changed. The actual work is simply continuing to live as the person we are becoming.
Mhm.
Uh, So, how do we actually close this gap? Not by forcing people to accept the new version of us, of course, but by probably allowing our relationships to evolve naturally. What's that one practice or mindset that's helped people to do that?
Oh, I love that question. Closing that gap is, again, 1, being clear of who you are and who you stand for and who you are at your core. 2, I'm gonna talk about image here, stepping into that image. Image isn't about just the clothes that you wear, it's really about how you show up before you speak. It's about how you communicate your energy, your eye contact, your posture. Everything when you walk into a room is, what do they see when you walk into a room? And the next one I would say is, use your voice. Your voice, your experience, your expertise should be out there in the world. Don't leave that off and don't leave that behind, because you have something of value to say. Get out there and say it and tell people and share that with people. Everybody has a story. And I'll just share this. I mean, you think your story is bad? I'll tell you something. There are ones that are out there going to be worse than yours. And that is one of the hardest things I think people have and have a challenge with, is telling their story, their gut-wrenching story that is holding them back from being their true, authentic self. And once they can tell that story and get out there and tie it to the work that you wanna do today, you are gonna be so much farther in life than and you are gonna release that. It is so freeing to tell somebody your story and to tell them what you've been through and relate it to what you're doing today. It's also very healthy to release that, because when you haven't released it, it is stuck inside you and it can actually die with you. Get it out of you. Tell somebody, because I'll guarantee you, you'll find someone down the road that had it worse than you did.
That is very well put. And like you said, the conversations, people talking is very important. You know, uh, the the major shift that personally I have seen in my life, or with people around me, like in the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned COVID and how pandemic brought upon a lot of issues for or each one of us probably, and we got a lot comfortable in a lot of things.
Mhm.
But people who could come out of it are probably the ones who were able to talk about it, who can express themselves by talking. And sometimes people do find it difficult to talk. How do you, what do you tell these people that, in order to become a better version of yourself, it is really important you bring it out. But not everybody is the same, right? Some people have a
Correct.
hard time talking about it. So what is that? What is that area? What is that? Probably the trick you tell them that you need to practice in order to be able to express yourself.
This was one of my hardest things too, is telling my story on a stage, and when you really you first of all, you wanna know your audience, you wanna know where your story is gonna be told. I would start in little small segments and just start telling a friend or telling if you need a therapist, tell a therapist, tell somebody that is going to listen, a coach, a mentor. And I have a lot of clients that I work with, and I'll just share this is sometimes they just need permission or give themselves permission to share it with somebody and get it out of themselves. And I'll, d- this is one client I talk about a lot. Her name is Terry, and when she walked through my front door, I could just see she blended in with the woodwork. She had a very meek voice, and she was so quiet, and I had to tell her to speak up all the time, and I was about this close to her, not even a foot away, and I had to ask her, "You're gonna have to use your voice and speak from your diaphragm up," and all of a sudden, out of her mouth, she goes, "I used to sing," and I had to take a double look, and I go, "What did you just say?" She goes, "I used to sing," and I go, "Why don't you sing anymore?" And she said, "Because my ex-husband told me to shut up. He did not wanna hear my voice anymore." That shut her down for the longest time. Coming and working into a male-dominated industry, her voice wasn't coming across as the leader that she wanted to be, and we worked on that. And one of the things I said before she left my home, I said, when you get in that car, you turn that radio on, you crank it as loud as you can, and you sing to the top of your lungs, and you put that ex-husband in the back seat, or no, better yet, put him in the trunk and throw that key away.
Right.
The next time I saw her was on a Zoom, and she was beaming from ear to ear, wearing the clothes we picked, the colors we picked. She spoke up, and I couldn't believe the difference in her from night and day. And today, she is in a VP level in the industry that she was in when we were working together. So
How
that's
inspiring.
a story, yes. And that's a little story, a lot of people have bigger stories than that, that come and speak, but that one is so profound when somebody is not using their voice to be heard, and she has so much to say and to even sing. I think singing is a great way to get your voice out there if you love to sing. Just sing. Sing at the top of your lungs when nobody's around. I'm not a great singer, but I'll crank the radio up and sing to it. However, I just yeah. But she
Well,
loved
I have been singing all my life, so that's probably, as a professional musician, I'm somebody who'll second you on that. Singing is the
yes,
best way to express yourselves. Trust me.
right.
Yeah.
And
So, like you,
when you think about a song, think about when people sing their song, that they're telling a story.
right.
And that's a story that's getting out of them that they actually wrote or they're singing because they want other people to acknowledge that.
How beautiful.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I'm so it's so nice to listen to that story, and there's in so many levels. I'm also relating it to a lot of things that I have seen myself. Um, uh, Moving on, growth isn't a straight line. Life gets stressful. Old habits they return. Certain people know exactly which buttons to press. How do we stay true to that person we are becoming without getting pulled back into the person we used to be?
That's a great question because, yes, people can push your buttons, believe me, especially if you have a family, you have a spouse, significant other. They know the buttons to push, right?
Right.
However, what I've done and what I always stress to my clients when I'm working with them is I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of soul searching and journaling. And I wanna get right in my mind because when they do push your buttons and if you react and I used to be this reactive person where somebody would say something and I'd react right away. So I'm not perfect, I'm not here to be perfect, but I've worked on myself enough to not take it so personally and think before you react. Think about
Right.
what they said. Now they're gonna push your buttons because they don't know what they're doing. They know that it's a pattern they've been doing, and you used to take it, and you used to argue, and you used to fight about it. But now that you're not gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, then and you quiet your mind and you quiet your soul and you stay and react in a different way, such as, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or maybe the next time we do that different or we say that different. It's really about your words. You have to start from in here first in your soul before you can change somebody else. And when they see that you've changed, such as, I'll just use this as an example. Thank you, honey, for cooking dinner tonight. Even a thank you sometimes, it will take them off track going, what did
Absolutely.
she just say?
Yeah,
You said thank you.
absolutely.
Um, And those little words that you can change in yourself first, you'll notice how they start saying it back to you.
I'm agreeing. Like, gratitude is very important.
Yes.
And, you know, just by being grateful for everything around us, I have experienced it very recently. Just by saying thank you, or I don't know why those thank yous are coming back to me. And I'm not even doing it. Like, I'm not even asking for them. So feels like this is, this is where you're giving out that energy and you're receiving it. Well, mm,
Yes.
just like that.
Yes. That's true, and I'm glad you said that, that's acknowledgement right there.
So,
And a lot of this, I'll just say it's a pattern from our childhood too. If you didn't get a
yeah.
pat on the back, if you didn't get a thank you, if you didn't say that a girl or that a boy or I'm so proud of you, those are living inside of us. And the only way that's going to change is if you change. And if you change that cycle will change for you moving forward.
And what about those moments when the pressure comes from within, like when it's easier to stay quiet, avoid a conflict, or slip back into old behaviors just to keep everyone comfortable? Like, I don't want to get into this because it's a lot of work. Let's just leave it the way it is. What about those moments?
Those moments are going to come. They aren't going to stay forever. They're not going to stay forever. As long as you keep working on yourself, they will disappear. And I do have to say I come from a big family, so there's 7 of us. So, I no longer live in the state that they live in. I live in a different state. I'm in Arizona, they're in Minnesota, and I get along with my family. But growing up, I didn't. I felt like an outcast at times because I'm the oldest. I'm the second to the oldest. I'm the oldest girl, and I had things that I had to take care of very young in my age that you should never ask a young girl to do. Um, and I was, doing mommy stuff and taking care of my brothers and sisters. However, as I grew up, I was wondering why they picked on me so much and why I wasn't viewed as who I wanted to be viewed at. The only way that that's going to change is getting clear of who you are and actually doing the work. The work is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. I will never say it's easy, but you got to take the step, one step at a time, and then surround yourself with good people. Start choosing good people in your life because they are going to be there. And every time you have you fall back, call that friend. Call that friend up and have a conversation. And sometimes they're just gonna listen, and hopefully they will listen because that's what you're doing, you're venting. I have a good girlfriend I vent to every once in a while. I mean, we all have to have somebody
We
in
do,
in
absolutely.
our life, and she vents to me. But we get it out of us, we move on.
Yeah,
But those are the friends you want in your corner. They're not gonna sit and agree with everything you're saying. They're just gonna be there to listen. They're gonna be your sounding board. And if you need advice or anything like that, they'll be there for you. But living in and once you're done, you move on and you go, "Oh, I got that off my shoulders, move on." Don't let it sit inside you and stew and stew and stew and stew. Get it out of you. Sometimes a good argument helps, but
yeah,
but, just to get it out of you, but you've gotta be honest with your frustrations too. Where is it coming from?
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you when you have a conversation with a friend, or especially a dear friend, there's that process wherein you start debating a little bit, and then the conversation gets even better. You start talking even in length. What you thought, there were things that you didn't know probably you can talk about, and now you're talking about those things as well because you both are not agreeing on certain things. That your agreement is not there, and once it's not there, both of you all have vented out, and by the end of it, you say good talk. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that's exactly how it is. I personally feel that's the best way, and maybe that's where real growth is tested, not when everything around us changes, but when we choose not to abandon ourselves, even in situations that once made us shrink. And Don, thank you so much for sharing your perspective today. Uh, there was so much that I've learned from you. There's so much that our listeners have to reflect upon once they go back and listen to the episode for sure. Just before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
You can go to my website and it's under my name, dawnstebbing.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram under my name. And you can connect with me in all those places.
Perfect. I'll look forward to searching you on all the social media platforms and on your website as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and before we end, I'd like to leave you all with this. Growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's simply choosing not to react the way you used to. Sometimes it's saying no without guilt. Sometimes it's walking away from conversations that once drained you. And sometimes growth is having the courage to let people misunderstand you while you continue becoming the person you're meant to be. The people who truly care about you will eventually get to know this new version. And if they don't, that doesn't erase how far you've come. Thank you for listening to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm Shivam Vashisht. Take care of your mind, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode.